Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have the members in attendance include Diane Tyson on the right, Chris Chrétien, Ralph, Frank Hollingsworth, and our new member, Bruce Roth. And we have our township manager, Ralph Hutchinson, assistant manager, Tara Hitchens, and Public Works Director Charlie Thomas in attendance. That's it. So I guess, and my name is Jim Everhart, so I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Has everyone read the minutes of the April 27th meeting?
Yes,
Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's so approved. I'd like to introduce Bruce Hess, our newest member. Welcome to the board. Bruce, if you could tell us even just a little bit, introduce yourself and tell us anything you know about yourself and your background.
Actually, was born in New Holland, lived in Virginia for probably 10 years, and moved to northeastern Pennsylvania most recently in the late 1900s, whatever we call that now. And since about 99, I lived in Ronks.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. Well, welcome to the board. We appreciate your efforts, and I've really felt when Joel, I was surprised that it was Joel's last meeting. I would have loved to have got something more, but I was just glad that he served as long as he did, and that was great. So thank you. Thank you for agreeing to serve, and we look forward to hearing from you. And were you planning to do an orientation session, Bruce? Was that?
No, I guess not, but happy to provide whatever information we can.
Okay.
Anytime.
I don't know what I don't know, so
Yeah.
I'll ask questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll pick up a lot of it. I know most of us do. We just kind of, by coming, you pick up a lot as we go along. I mean, Diane, you've been on the board for
20 years.
since Hector was a pup. And I know Chris and I have been on the board for, I just looked it up, 11 years. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, 2011. You and I came on at the same time, so it's good. So yeah, you do pick up a lot as we go. So public concerns or comments? We don't have anybody from the public here. We don't have anybody tuned in. All right, so I guess we move on to this agenda item. And I see we have the thank you notes to the, what happens is, Bruce, we we solicit donations from all the companies, greenhouses and companies that sell flowers and plants, and they graciously donate and do planting at the various parks. So these are thank you notes that we'll all sign on behalf of the township and the Parks Board, and thank them for their donation. So I'll start circulating them at some point. So reports, recreation.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything for the dugout construction since I sent them that last email in April. Did they? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, so the girls softball is using the field at Community Park, but yeah, for the dugouts, I haven't heard anything. I'm not listening.
Who was that? Was that last night? I saw there was.
Yeah, there's some girls, I mean, they had a sign, it must have been registration night and orientation night or something, because they had a sign. This is the sign from, and then it's all the girls, they always had the uniforms. So
Yeah.
it was the first practice because they were lining up talking to them, so. I guess so, could start going now, so.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I don't have anything for recreation, no.
Okay. Grounds, buildings, and trails.
As you mentioned, the flower donations, you do have the thank you cards. We'll get them mailed out after you for signature. We will mention them in the newsletter for the thanking them. We sent out 7 request letters and all 7 have graciously donated. We picked those up Tuesday morning and I think they're just about all on the ground already. That way they will be ready for Memorial Day weekend.
So I'm planning something to do.
So that's done. Rentals are still going strong. I know they said we have a full schedule all weekends in June and most of the July weekends are booked up. I'll probably have you another report in August unless you wanted one for a July meeting or something, just to see how we compared to last year. And at this point, we are set to pave the parking lot at Community Park. June 6th, we have a rental, which is a Monday. So it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. All depends on the weather. So we will have the parking lot closed down. We will advertise that. It's going to be shut for 2 days. We're going to have safety fence and like our flooded road barriers, the wooden barriers across in case people are into the park and they need to get an emergency vehicle in. They still will have access. So that'll be the week of June 6th. Right now, we're shooting for the 7th and 8th. We talked to the contractor. Other than that,
There is a notice on our website about that.
I think we were going to actually talk to the police department, have them put it on their Facebook page so we can get it out there. Troy is going to put a piece of plywood or something up because people don't see the little signs. We were going to put something up there ahead of time, letting people know that the parking lot is closed.
Yeah.
I don't know where they would park, even if they go there. But just
Chris
as a
has
heads up.
volunteered to let people park in his driveway.
Yeah.
Is that okay? You know, in his grass and driveway,
Yeah. Some of them.
$5 a car? No.
Yeah. And more than that,
Make it to a revenue enhancement
Yeah.
opportunity. Yeah.
hey, my shed and excavate, yeah,
Yeah.
my ramp.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the guys today doing some planning and they made the remark that they thought it was an appropriate orientation for new board members that they plant flowers, that they join them.
They should help. Stop by and help. I don't ever remember the past board members helping. So okay.
Yeah, I think
They look like
they wanted me to stop jogging
Yeah.
and help.
They look like they're having way too much fun.
Yeah.
Troy there with this little drill with the thing on the end making holes and the other one's dropping them in. He had the supervisory thing, running the machinery. He must be qualified hole driller.
Okay, and the CV Regional Recreation Program updates.
Unfortunately, there is none because the meeting in May was canceled due to the facilitator having COVID. So we probably will have a very busy summer.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think what we would want to tell you Paul, is that I think Bruce says there's the recreation, CV regional recreation programs. We kind of helped get that started by requesting a grant to develop our parks plan, and it kind of blossomed into a regional kind of plan to look at all the recreation needs. And that's now moving forward into
Well, we're just looking at how the entity would be organized. If you go onto the township website, the actual comprehensive plan that was put together is on the website, and it's 100 pages at least. And it covers Upper Laycock and East Lampeter's parks. And the school district was also part of the original grant. And the first recommendation was to look at forming a regional recreation commission. So that's what we're in. We have a grant from DCNR for a year and there's a facilitator who is parks and rec specialist. She's actually grew up in Lancaster County, but works in Reading right now. And she is facilitating our group. So there's representatives from the school district in East Lampeter and Upper Laycock on the steering committee to come up with. Our goal was to try to come up with something by the end of this year that everybody can vote on and we can move forward. And then there's DCNR has another set of grants that would help offset cost for a recreation professional over a 5-year period. So the first year, the grant would pay for 100%. The second year would be 75. The third year, and it decreases so that hopefully by then we're generating some revenue to offset some of the expenses that would cover the grant. But we're still in the beginning stages of things, unfortunately. There's not much to report there yet.
Okay, thank you for the summary. Old business, no other reports, I guess. Old business, we had the continuing discussion of the playground design and equipment. Our last meeting, Bruce, we had at Flory Park to kind of walk through and see what the needs might be for other types of equipment or other kinds of facilities there. So, anybody have any thoughts that they'd like to share?
Just think what we talked about over there about maybe make a room in one of those things for the new equipment, moving everything together in the other one, or whatever Troy thought. I think Troy is the one that's most well versed about how they place that equipment. If we're going to place it now or not, let him place it in there. When you talk about putting all the new equipment, one of those two areas and moving the old equipment all into one area or something, weren't we? I think there was something we were talking about that.
Not sure I know what area you're
Or
talking
the
about.
two, you have the two areas when you go in there, there's two like egg-shaped things, wherever they are. Where the
The
equipment is
existing
now.
playground equipment is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
And there's two separate areas. So you're going to place it all, the current equipment in one and put the new in the other one, or? Because he said about spacing, he knows more about spacing and how it fits in there than any of us, and what the laws and regulations and rules are for doing that. One thing he did mention that we're going to have to enlarge, if that's where the play area is going to be, we're going to have to enlarge that to stay with safety standards. Again, he said, if you have a 10-foot high swing, you need 20 feet either side of that. So that's going to use up a lot of room.
Yeah, if we put a swing set in, I'll probably put a new area just for the swing set.
And a lot of that equipment up there is on its last leg, being safety hazards and everything like that. So we did just receive the stuff that was ordered back in March that just came in. He didn't install it yet, of course, but it's some of them spinning items that you recommended buy back in February.
All that all phone came in.
That just came.
would it make sense that we hold off on installing that?
That's what he
so we
wanted to
know
do.
What we're
That's-
doing? I mean, because that will, especially if we do swings. The other thing I personally would like is to have some type of adaptive equipment for special needs
Mhm.
kids, because we don't really have anything in any of our parks that is specifically designed for that. I mean, they can still use some. And swing, there's a swing that is adaptive. They have one at Lawrence Park. They have one up in Lidditz. I mean, so it could be just even that and maybe another piece. But until we know exactly what we're doing, it would make sense to just hold off, I think.
That was his suggestion from the start. Let's get it purchased. Let's get it
Right.
here and we'll install it once we design the layout.
Right.
And anything we purchase now has to be ADA accessible.
Right.
Most of it has to be. You can't just go and put equipment in and not make something accessible for ADA.
Mhm.
So I can have him take a look at what it would take for layout, try to give some ideas, put a couple together so the board can take a look at it. Because that magic word budget's
Right.
coming
I
right
mean,
now.
was he looking at maybe just merging the two areas and, or,
The rule of thumb is to keep the younger kids away
Right.
from the bigger kids. And of course, the bigger kids are going to get
Oh,
on
and
the
yeah,
younger
there
kids
were-
stuff.
Did he mention that? He talked about there were for different age categories.
well, most parks are like that. I
Yeah.
mean, like if
Yeah.
you go to Lafayette, there's a smaller set for the younger kids and then the bigger one is there. And the same thing with community park, they're in the same area, but
Mhm.
they're segregated.
That's his idea of doing the same thing at Flory.
Okay,
Getting the older and its younger kids separated, but keeping it all in one area so parents aren't all
Right.
over the place. So I'll talk to him, possibly try to get some ideas and bring them to the board and we can discuss and see what numbers we're going to be talking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think yeah, and I'm trying to visualize, I mean, I think that would help, Charlie, because I kind of felt like at one point, I'd like to get a whole lot, like a larger vision of how all these things fit together. Anything that, because I just feel odd about just kind of saying, well, okay, so we want this piece of equipment here. It kind of seems like a bunch of one-offs. And I'd like to say, well, so how are we trying to design this? How are we trying to make this work so that all these things work together and make sense? And I know Troy has thoughts about that. So if he could help present that, that would be very helpful. I
and
think I
again,
would
is there a
appreciate
way we could do it over 2 budget seasons if budget is, an issue? I mean, can we stretch it, and put maybe the younger kid in one year and then worry about the older kids
Yeah.
next year?
What we try to do is do an overall project. And then if we have to phase it out due to budget constraints, that's what we'll do. But get the whole picture
Right.
right up front and then break it down that way. Like I said, Notes Mill, when you do it, you don't have the whole plan, but just do it in pieces if need be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Any other old business?
Bruce, we keep mentioning Troy. He's the park superintendent.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I'm sorry. We
Right.
should keep. you
I'll
have
figure it
trouble
out
keep-
eventually.
Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. Yeah, well, we have to keep trying to remember to give you background. My apologies. Okay. Any other old business?
I would mention a few things if that's all right.
Sure.
So the next iteration of the Gibbons Park development plan should be ready for your next meeting. So it's not going to be a fully engineered plan, but it's the next iteration, as I say. So it'll be a little more developed than the last one you saw, but not a final design. So that's still underway. The Walnut Street Extension Project, along with the Lancaster Heritage Pathway that'll be built parallel to it, Bids were received last week. There is funding for the project, so they're hoping to award that contract by the end of this week and, give a notice to proceed, and construction will begin sometime this summer, would be my expectation. So you'll start to see things happening out there.
It's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah.
It just seems like it's taking a long time, but
Well, I mean, to be honest, that particular
That-
project
man,
has.
I know,
That
That's
was
on the
lightning speed.
Yeah.
yeah, that's somebody we've
Yeah,
been
once they
with.
decided to do something. that
Yeah,
way,
from just the conception to it happening is what, less than 5 years?
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, when
Yeah.
it looked how long it took us to just build the bridge at Glory off of Strasburg Pike.
Yeah.
That, that was just one bridge and that took 5 years, I think.
Yeah, they've definitely had their foot on the gas, and it's worked.
Yes.
So,
that's
Probably
amazing.
didn't hurt that High's backing it too a lot. And High's
I
behind
was
it.
gonna say.
That probably didn't hurt anything.
There's some real cash there, so too.
right.
Well, even just PennDOT,
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, just
Oh,
you know,
PennDOT
that
and those
multiple
lucky-
entity, like municipalities, because it's not just East Lampeter that really covered, isn't it? Because Walnut Street comes off of Manheim Township's probably on one side and the city's probably like just where the exit would be.
Yeah, the city's on the, what I would call the south side of Route 30. Maybe that's the west side of Route 30. At that interchange with Walnut Street, everything else is in East Lampeter.
Everything else is.
Yeah, so, yeah, the entire trail area is all definitely
Is
in
in
East
East
Lampeter.
Lampeter.
At least for what's being built now. If we have been pursuing funding to do conceptual plan development to continue the trail to the Upper Laycock Township line, and also to connect on the other side through Oak Grove and Pitney and or along Walnut Street to the city's park, Conestoga Pines there. So we're looking at both directions from there as well. And of course, that western leg would involve the city as well. But yeah, it's exciting. It's going to be a nice project, and looking forward to that. The real nice thing about the construction effort is that it's not going to disrupt any existing traffic because it's all off on its own piece of ground. So
Does that happen?
just, it'll 18 months from when they start, there'll be a ribbon cut and poof, it'll.
And everybody will be like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh.
The only traffic is when they put the bridge over top of Mill Cross Road. They'll have a detour set up for a couple
Couple
days
days, yeah.
just to set the beams and stuff.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Is there anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. Man, that's great news on both. On both Stevens Park and on the street. New business. Any other? New business to come forward? I did want to mention one thing. I guess it's kind of new business. I like the idea of, I liked having, I mean, it was cold, but I like having a meeting at the park. I thought that was kind of neat. And I'd throw that out as a suggestion. Does anybody have any interest in having any more meetings, especially over the summer, any of our meetings at the other parks? So that, because there's something about being there and being able to see people using the stuff and seeing the facilities right there, it's not so hard to visualize that. I don't know, does anybody have any feelings about that one or the other?
How humid it is outside.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's always that, but we can get in the shade. How's that sound?
See, the breeze, that'd be great.
We'll let that for anybody Dennis's consideration?
I would say as needed. You know, if there's a particular, like we had a particular reason to go to Flory last, you know, because we were looking at where we were going to put equipment and how we were going to do that. So I guess, you know, the next one might be Gibbons when we get to the point where we have to visualize what's on paper and what's feasible and possible. But, you know, other than, you know, if there's a specific reason to do it, I would have no objections, but I think just to go could be somewhat inconvenient for the staff and the public because of the.
Well, the only thing I'm thinking about is that I'm thinking that if we're there like tonight, there's probably, you know, in community park, there's probably 20, 30 people easily, you know, and it's an opportunity to, you know, that maybe people can see us and see that something's happening and maybe bring up something that's there. So I'll just throw that out there as a thought. I don't know that we would get anybody that would speak up or say anything, but, you know, so I was actually thinking that what might encourage public interaction. Because, you know, the number of people who come to the meetings, as we are painfully aware, is pretty slim. And, you know, it's like, hey, so just a thought. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, Diane. I think that's absolutely essential that, boy, if there's something we're going to talk about, boy, let's have a meeting there. And let's not try and visualize it on these drawings. Let's walk around and take a look at it. But I just throw that out there. I just like to, you know, encourage that if we see the need. Okay.
One thing I just thought about, we were standing there at the park last week when we were over there, we saw those people flying up and down there with their cars up pretty fast through the parking lot there. It was talk about maybe putting some kind of speed bump or something there. Do you think any more about that, or you think that's something to be necessary, or that cause more problems than it would create than fix? They'll just drive around it and drive through the grass.
Right through the grass, yeah.
Right.
Or they won't care.
Yeah,
I didn't give it any more thought. Okay.
How about rumble strips?
I suspect the people who live close by there wouldn't appreciate the
Oh,
rumble
that's true, that's
strips.
true. Courthouses are right there.
Well, if somebody's there at midnight, then you find out. That's one of them.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, and then the question is, if you put a speed bump there, is that gonna, it's almost acknowledging that you have a problem. which is like,
And some people use it for launching pad.
Yeah. Yeah.
See how fast people are actually
I thought of
going.
that. Okay. Anything else?
Bruce was gonna say.
Yeah,
something.
do you ever, not knowing how this works, do you ever go to other parks to kind of get ideas of what you might want to do at the parks that we're representing? Or how do you get ideas?
I mean, I think we all do it on our own, you know. I mean, I go to lots of different parks at different times of the year, but I think that, you know, we never did anything. Since I've been on the board for 11 years, we've never had an organized thing where we went somewhere. But I think that's why we have new people on the board. That's an interesting idea.
Well,
like
we've
a-
had people that have come to us in dog parks at least 2 or 3 times since I've been on the board. Bocce, you know, requested bocce courts. I think
Pickleball.
pickleball, which we don't
Pickleball.
have any tennis courts to make pickleball. You know, so there's people that specifically have, you know, requests of us, but they don't want to participate in making it happen.
I like the idea, though. I like the idea. That might be worth doing sometime, even just as in, well, I guess we can't do it. Like, are we under the same open meetings kind of thing that we can't, like, we couldn't say, hey, I'll sit, how about on Friday afternoon, we all drive around? Can't do that. I
Not
mean,
without,
who's gonna know,
not
but-
without advertising it in advance and making it open to the public.
Yeah,
If there's 3 or more of you going to do that.
okay.
If you do get a chance to look at the regional plan, you know, on the website, There are conceptual plans of Flory Park in particular and Gibbons Park in that plan. They're conceptual, but that'll give you an idea a little bit about what the planning process suggested and recommended for those parks. So that might be helpful.
What also might be, and I think what I like what Bruce suggested is if we identify individually something that we saw, like Diane said, some of the, like a different facility or something like it's something that's handicap accessible, we can at least all go and visit it individually if we share that information. I think that's a good thing. At least do that. And, if we want to, if somebody would do a whole park that would be oriented around, special needs, that would be kind of cool.
I do that a lot now. Just don't drive around and see a park. I'll just drive through and look a little differently when you're on a park board than if you're, otherwise you wouldn't look at it, see what they have, how it's laid out, just get ideas and see. It's interesting sometimes to see what different people do.
I'll just be upfront. I'm an avid pickleball player, so
Oh,
I'm one of those.
one of the pickleball people. Oh,
And if you get an
okay.
opportunity and you can go down to Bookmuller on any morning, there are tons and tons and tons of people that show up there to play this game
Yeah.
for 4 or 5 hours at a whack. And there really isn't anything else around like Bookmuller.
Yeah.
There's smaller venues, a couple of courts here. Leola has retrofitted tennis courts. Not quite the same thing as having a dedicated pickleball court like Bookmuller is. And I keep thinking about that one on Hobson, going, man, if you could put like 3 courts in there, that would be used.
Good to
But-
know.
And they're really not that expensive to make because they're smaller, much smaller than a tennis court. So
Yeah.
it's, the fences are low or can be lower. So and our population is grayer than it used to be. And that game is a grayer game.
That, very elegant how you said that. I appreciate that. That's good. All right. Yeah, that's, I will have to check that out. I will check that out.
I've gone down and watched them already.
What?
I've gone down and watched them already, sit there and watch them.
Really?
They played the senior games down there. There was probably 300 people down there.
Wow.
Buckmuller was one of the first parks that had Frisbee golf too. I mean, they seem to be on the cutting edge of whatever going
And
on.
it's a
And is
small-
that a county? Is that county or city?
County.
County. that
It's
is
a,
county.
it's a smallish park
Yeah.
and it's kind of odd layout, but they carved out this little niche. And it's become popular.
Yeah. And it's funny, when they had tennis courts down there, I remember them flooding out all the time. Now, I don't know whether they fixed those stormwater issues down there or not, but,
Yeah, they raised up the court. I don't think there's, let's put it this way, if it floods those courts, there's a lot of other things getting wet.
okay. So that's not insurance. Okay, good. All right, anything else? We just have our sign here. Any other, no public comment?
There's no one on chat and there's no one that's submitted an email either.
All right. Well, thank you. If there's something else, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Um,
All right, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much. And what we'll do is, I'm going to open the